All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild. We're going to witness an unbelievable journey of automotive resurrection. Honestly, it's a process that proves literally nothing is too far gone. We're exploring the painstaking, almost miraculous revival of one of the world's most elite hypercars. We're taking a luxury Bugatti, a total engineering marvel designed to break speed records, from a literal mud-filled grave all the way back to a flawless showroom masterpiece. So let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. Can a buried supercar actually be brought back from the dead? And we aren't talking about some dusty barn find here or a car with a minor fender bender. No way. We're talking about a vehicle that was totally swallowed by the earth, subjected to crushing weight, corrosive moisture, and just complete ruin. I mean, most seasoned experts would look at this and immediately write it off as a total loss. But as you'll see, with enough vision and willpower, the impossible can actually be engineered right back into reality. Just take a moment to look at the sheer improbability of this contrast. It's like night and day. On one side, the Bugatti is barely even recognizable. It literally looks like an ancient artifact pulled from an archaeological dig, totally entombed in thick, wet sludge. The headlights are clouded, the iconic grille is completely stuffed with dirt. Yet on the other side, we have the ultimate payoff, a gleaming, flawless machine. This journey isn't just about giving the car a good wash. It's about a comprehensive, molecular-level rebirth of an absolute legend. To see how they pulled off this monumental transformation, we're going to follow a chronological roadmap, starting with the extraction, moving into the teardown, hitting the bodywork and mechanical rebuild, and finally, the detailing.
Let's start right in the dirt with Phase 1, extraction from the mud.
Picture the dramatic tension and just the sheer weight here as heavy chains slowly ripped this ruined luxury shell out of the earth. When a car is buried like this, the mud acts like a giant vacuum, basically suctioning the chassis into the ground. Plus, mud is incredibly heavy. So the extraction team couldn't just yank it out. They had to bring in a heavy-duty excavator, carefully balancing the load so they didn't compromise the Bugatti's structural integrity even further. It is a really visceral, incredibly tense moment to kick off the recovery. Man, this is tough to look at if you're a car fan. Notice how deeply that thick mud has penetrated the complex mechanical core of the vehicle. It's completely choking the engine. The Bugatti is famous for its massive, incredibly intricate quad-turbo engine, and the sludge has just bypassed every single protective seal. It's caked on the turbochargers, the intake manifolds, the delicate electronics. And worse, the highly corrosive elements in the soil have already started eating away at the metals. Hauling it out of the hole was just the prologue. Dealing with this internal contamination is the real challenge.
Out of the pit and into the shop, we enter Phase 2, tearing down the core.
Just wow. How do you even begin to salvage an interior in this condition? Look at the steering wheel, the center console, the seats. This cabin was originally hand-stitched and crafted from the absolute finest materials on Earth. Now, it looks like a swamp. The water damage alone completely destroys the complex electronics behind the dashboard, and the mold and mud ruin the upholstery way beyond any simple cleaning. Literally, everything you see here has to be completely stripped out. So they drag this thing indoors, and the vibe totally shifts from a chaotic mud pit to a quiet, methodical, surgical teardown. You can see the ruined seats coming out and the dashboard components being systematically removed. They're stripping away all that decay to find the absolute base structure of the cabin. This right here is where the real grit comes in. Notice the sparks flying? That is raw manual labor stripping away the rust to finally uncover solid, workable metal underneath. The body panels and the frames suffered tremendously in the ground, so the team is using angle grinders to literally shave off the compromised layers. It's loud, it's dirty, and it is incredibly demanding physical work. But it's absolutely crucial. You just can't build a masterpiece on a rotten foundation. Which brings us to Phase 3, rebuilding the beast, where we transition from destruction back to creation. Seeing it laid out like this just blows my mind. The staggering scale of the rebuild is laid totally bare here. You're looking at hundreds of individual components, turbos, pistons, connecting rods, gears, all meticulously organized on a massive workbench. Organization is everything here. When you tear down an engine of this magnitude, you don't just toss parts into a bucket. Every single piece is cataloged, inspected for warping, and lined up for its own individual restoration. Think about the pure volume of labor required to pull this off. Every single gear, piston, and valve must be individually cleaned, machined, and prepped to absolute perfection. First, the complete disassembly. Then, the cleaning, removing microscopic grains of dirt that could literally destroy the engine if left inside.
then machining the piston so they move flawlessly, and finally, the precision reassembly, which requires complete mastery of engineering. It takes such intense dedication to put the complex heart of this supercar back together. There is literally zero margin for error here. Look at the focus of the mechanic torquing down those bolts to exact millimeter specs. This engine is designed to withstand immense pressure to generate unbelievable horsepower. If one single bearing is seated wrong or one bolt is under-tightened, the whole engine could tear itself apart the first time they fire it up.
With the mechanics locked in, the grit gives way to gloss in Phase 4, paint and fine detailing.
I gotta say, there is something incredibly satisfying about seeing this pristine gray primer. It covers up all the scars and trauma of the car's past. The body was meticulously sanded, the dents pulled, the rust removed, and now it's sitting in this brilliantly lit paint booth. This smooth gray layer is the ultimate blank canvas. Looking at those elegant curves now, the nightmare of the mud pit feels like it happened to a completely different car.
And here's where the excitement really builds. The iconic, rich Bugatti blue paint is finally going on, bringing life and color back to the shell. You can instantly see the deep, metallic luster of that blue popping against the gray primer. It requires multiple base coats followed by clear coats, ensuring a finish that is breathtakingly beautiful, but also super durable. But spraying the paint is really only half the battle. To get that liquid glass look, it takes expert detailing and relentless polishing. The detailer is working carefully around the iconic horseshoe grille, bringing out this intense, mirror-like finish. It's this painstaking attention to the final 1% of the job that elevates the whole thing from merely fixed to a true automotive masterpiece.
Finally, we reach the climax of this crazy journey, Phase 5, the final masterpiece. Just behold this triumphant payoff. It is a total testament to human craftsmanship and uncompromising vision. Sitting gracefully outside, catching the sunset, the chrome is dazzling, the paint is flawless. It is honestly almost impossible to look at this million-dollar machine and imagine that just months prior, it was a ruined, mud-filled shell being dragged out of a hole. It's a staggering achievement, and it highlights exactly why we go through the trouble of restoring these incredible machines.
So, I'll leave you with this thought to reflect on. If time and money were literally no object, what lost masterpiece would you bring back to life? Whether it's a piece of automotive history, a crumbling building, or forgotten art, this Bugatti proves that resurrection is always possible if you have the passion. Thanks so much for diving into this fascinating explainer with me today, and keep exploring the incredible potential of what we can build.